Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Now, remember back in, I believe, the 20th chapter, in verse 11, right? It mentioned here that whose face, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, going into the return of the Lord, right? And that first earth, the earth and the heaven, right, fleeing away was the rulership, okay, of Esau, Edom, basically coming to an end. So this new heaven and this new earth is not talking about a new planet, right? It's a refreshed, the earth being refreshed, but under a new dominion, okay, which would be led by Yahushai and the 144,000. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, like we just read, and there was no more sea. So the first earth, the first heaven and the first earth, or that age or dominion of Esau, was passed away, right? And all the things that it that it consisted of were also passed away. Okay, and the sea, right? When you remember going back to Revelation 17, the angel broke down to John the waters, which that's what the sea is, right? The body of water, or body of waters. But that was peoples, kindreds, nations and tongues, right? So the life or the way of living, right, and the way that the people function and so on and so forth of the old world was also, done away with. And so now the earth is basically under new management. Verse 2, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So John didn't see he didn't see an actual building coming down, okay, or at least that's not what's going to happen. The holy city that's coming down, that New Jerusalem, is the heavenly Jerusalem, which is referring to the bride that was also mentioned in was it the 19th chapter? Yeah, the 19th chapter, right? The bride adorned for her husband, and that's the marriage supper of the Lamb. And the bride here are the elect. So these were the elect coming down out of the chariot. Okay, that is God out of heaven. That is coming down out of the chariot after the nuclear destruction. And let's go real quick to the book of Isaiah chapter. It might be either the 20th or the 26th chapter. Yeah, 26 and 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. The my people here is referring to the elect. And the chambers are the chariots. And shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. The indignation is the destruction, right? So that nuclear destruction that the elect are going to be preserved and delivered from afterwards, right? Until it be passed. But once it's overpassed, they're going to come back because there's a job that has to be done. Remember, the earth is still in a state that needs to be now cleaned up. So that's the holy city coming down, which is the elect coming from that chariot descending. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. Because that's the governing body is men. Okay, that's really who it starts with. And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them. And this his people and this them is the elect. Okay, that's where it starts. And of the elect is going to come the rest of the nation. And God, and it says here, and be their God. So the Lord is going to dwell with us, closely. Again, he's not going to hide his face from us or separate us, from him anymore. Verse 4, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Remember in the 20th chapter, it said death and hell were cast into the lake. So for us, we're no longer going to die anymore. That's that everlasting life through Yahushua. Neither are we going to sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. This crying is tears of actual pain or suffering, because you can cry tears of joy, but we're not going to go through the pain of captivity, the pain, the suffering that we went through, the hellish condition that we've had to suffer under the reign of Esau, really in general, but mainly under Esau's reign. Why? For the former things are passed away. That was a part of that previous heaven and earth, the things that contained that it came with: death, sorrow, crying, pain. That's going to pass away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. Right. So he basically to be refreshed, right, to renew all things. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful, and they're going to happen, right? Just exactly as John has seen and we've been prophesying about. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And that's Yahushua. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. All right. Which is going into that immortality, right? The perfection and immortality that, as the Lord said, he's going to give to him that is athirst. And who are those that are thirsty that are going to come unto the Lord to drink? The elect. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. I believe there's a, let me see if I can find it, but let me finish the verse. There's a precept on this. And I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Let's cross-reference this here. All things. So I think Paul said this. I forgot to who, which church he was writing to, or maybe it was Peter. Let's see. It might be this one. For all things are yours. Yeah, it might be 1 Corinthians 3:21, but we'll come back to it. Let me see if there's something else here. Yeah, I think it might be 1 Corinthians 3:21. But let me confirm that. This is 1 Corinthians 3. I'll start at 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. That's those that are wise in this world. Therefore, let no man glory, for all things are yours. See, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or present things or things to come, all are yours. See, so going back to Revelation 21:7, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So they're gonna taste of that destruction, of that judgment. Remember, they were judged out of the book based on the deeds that they committed. And if it was wicked, then like John said, it would be for those that were dead, the resurrection onto damnation. And for those that are already alive, well, there you go. They're already prepared. Go and get a nice hot lava bath. Verse 9. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come hither, and I will shew you, or shew thee, the bride, the Lamb's wife. And who is the bride, or the Lamb's wife? The elect, right? The Apostle Paul mentioned that. I'm jealous over you with what's that, godly jealousy, to present you a chaste virgin unto Hamashiach. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. And that represents the elect, having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And here he goes on to describe the actual the beautification and the glory of the city that he sees, but it's also symbolic of the glorification of Israel, right, of the elect. But it's once again, right, he's seeing like the foundation or the design of the city, you know, but it's also once again representing the beauty or the beautification of the elect. The scriptures say that he's going to beautify them with salvation. So verse 11, it says, having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So you're going to have that, and it tells you you're going to have, well, we're going to read it about the names of the the apostles. They're going to be on there as well. It says here, on the east gate, on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them, there you go, the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So they got a special place. That's why Yahushua said they're going to sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes. NLT says the wall of the city had 12 foundation stones, and on them were written the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And boy, is Judas going to be upset that he missed out. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length the length is as large as the breadth, meaning, you know, it was as in measurement of length and breadth, it was the same. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. That was that pure gold that's so pure it's like transparent. You could see a reflection in it. It's so pure. Verse 19, and the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. So just imagine how beautiful the kingdom in its entirety it's going to be. Boy, oh boy. Verse 22, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. So we're not going to need any physical temple, right? Just like the third temple that's being built is not a physical temple, a physical building. Okay, it's really the elect. But what does the temple signify, right? We went into the temple, which is where the presence of the Lord, right, was going to be. But we don't need that anymore, because now the Lord is going to dwell among us, right? And we are likened unto the temple of the Lord, but we don't need a physical building anymore, because we now have access through Yahushua, who is, when you go into the book of Hebrews, the Apostle Paul expounds on that, being our high priest in the heavens. But now we don't need to go through a veil, you know, like the carnal, like the Levitical priesthood, to get into the Holy of Holies, which is likened unto the heavens. We now have access. Okay, so the presence of the Lord and Yahushua are going to be with us, as opposed to, you know, in the past, having to go into a temple where the presence of the Lord would be. And the city had no need of the sun. All right, verse 23, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Now, the sun and the moon, we're actually going to have the sun and the moon. Is to tell, I mean, you need the sun and the moon to tell time, right? How are we going to, you know, keep the holy days and tell time, right? That's what it's needed for. But it said it had no need of the sun, neither the moon. And here the sun and the moon symbolize knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, so we're not going to have need of it because we're already going to have it, right? We're not going to be lacking in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, because we're going to gain it all from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's why it says that God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which were saved shall walk in the light of it, which is referring to those nations that are preserved, right? Those that are left shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it, right? And meaning that they're gonna learn of our ways, right? They're gonna the light which is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and the laws that we're gonna teach. Remember, Jerusalem meaning teaching or teachers of peace. So we're gonna teach not ourselves, but the nations. They're gonna learn of our ways. That's in Micah the 4th chapter. And they're gonna bring, right, the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. That is their riches and their spoils, the benefits, right? Whatever they're rich in, they're gonna bring that onto us. Right? The scriptures liken that onto the forces of the Gentiles. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. See, so we're no longer going to have to, well, one, our gates are not going to be shut. I think there's a precept. Let me see if I can find that. Might be in Isaiah. Yep. Isaiah 60:11. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, which are their riches and their benefits, that their kings may be brought. See, so whatever resources, they're going to constantly bring that onto us. And as it says, for there shall be no night, no night over there, right? So we're not in night, which represents darkness, right? Going into, what's that precept Paul mentioned, right? We are not children of the night. So night goes into dealing with, the works of darkness, but also a lack of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And that's not going to be the case. We're going to be perfect. We're going to embody what it means to be the children of light, the children of the day. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be actual night. There is going to be night. That's the ordinance the Lord has set on the earth, right? You have day, you have night. Verse 26, and they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. We just read that in Isaiah the 60th chapter. Verse 27, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So nothing perverse or wicked or abominable is going to be is going to be allowed in the kingdom. It's going to be, right, especially where our dwelling is, it's going to be holy and pure. And everything that's profane is going to be without. And if you try to, go about pushing profanity in our kingdom, we're going to come see you with that scepter that's going to be used for the correction, right? Ruling with that rod of iron. You're going to find out why it mentions the rod of iron. And that brings us to the end of the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rechak Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.